In this video we're going to talk about how to create a shorter yet more powerful backswing position, and the reason why I'm so confident in this approach is because it's recently been demonstrated by a student of mine, Lynn. Now, Lynn came for a session recently. She played a little bit more golf. The weather is slowly improving here, and she had some inconsistencies. And you guys will relate to this. She was struggling a little bit with short game, so some of the contact wasn't great. I would say she was struggling with distance control on her irons and also had inconsistency with the driver. So I said to Lynn, right, let's just spend some time, work on each little part of these and see if we can find a nice swing thought that can be holistically approached to every aspect of the game, and that was exactly what we wanted to do. So when we started with the short game, what we noticed was Lynn was just over-rotating the club face, and this was making it really difficult to deliver a square club face on the back of the ball, because there'd be occasions when she might sort of over-rotate the face and it would go off towards the left, or she'll hit it with too much of an open face, produce excessive amounts of spin and just pop the ball up and it not going as far. So what we started to do is just sort of work on a few drills where we were just trying to concentrate on what this trail arm was doing and just get a bit of a feeling that the right palm was pointing down to the ground. Now, one of my favorite training aids for short game is the GForce. If you guys are interested, there is a link in the description box below. But because the GForce is one of these bendable clubs, what it also does is it reduces, you can't get away with twisting with this club. If you're relying on excessive rotation to square the face, what you're going to notice is this thing is going to leave you exposed and it's going to leave the face open. So this is a great training aid just to encourage you to take that club back and through, utilizing as little club face manipulation as possible. And that's a great training aid, and that's exactly the same feeling that we introduced towards Lynn's sort of chipping but also pitching action. And what she noticed, and you guys would notice this as well, is when you start to introduce this technique, it might lower the flight. And I'm not suggesting there are ways that you can evolve to learn how to hit lower and higher flight, but it was giving her much more of a simple stock shot. So she was able to produce consistent launch each and every time, bring that flight down, increased her distance, but again, much stronger in terms of repeatability, and it made a difference on her short game. Now, arguably it's easier with the short game. It's easier to get the results. It's a shorter club. You're standing close to the ball. There's more loft. It's slower, and it gets harder when you're trying to change the irons and the driver. But the process and the journey was going to be the same for Lynn. It was the same thing that was causing the inconsistency. Excessive club face rotation, excessive arm rotation, and what happens then, your arms start to collapse a little bit too much, and again it causes that inconsistency in that downswing position. So what we worked on was a really simple sort of feeling, and I think it's a significant thing, and I see this a lot. And if you guys are interested, I've got a special offer at the moment on half-day golf sessions, and this is kind of what I did with Lynn. So again, you can find out more details and email me in the description box below as well if you're interested in coming. But it was a case of, for Lynn, it was a case of understanding that in the backswing position, that your arms have sort of differing roles and responsibilities. So it was almost like Lynn was trying to roll both the forearms at the same sort of rate of rotation. And really that's not actually the case. It's a case that in the backswing, your left arm or your lead arm will what's known as pronate, and pronate helps the club look like this. But your trail arm doesn't necessarily need to do exactly the same thing. Your trail arm is actually trying to do things like help you apply more width towards the swing. And what made the big difference was, I'll sort of show you guys here, was trying to get more of a feeling of the upper arm, okay? So if you like your sort of bicep area, keeping the upper arm pointing more down towards the ground and just allowing the forearm to rotate. So not allowing both of them to excessively rotate, just getting a feeling of the upper arm pointing more down to the ground. And for many of you that have tendencies similar to Lynn, where you overswing and you have too much going on, to be honest, keeping the same feeling of the forearm pointing down to the ground would be an exaggeration on reality, but would be a great feeling to get into a position where the club face would be much squarer, as Lynn has demonstrated here as well. So to summarise, if you're interested in creating a shorter yet more powerful backswing position, I think you need to understand that the reason why your swing is excessively long is because your trail arm is excessively bending, and because you're not actually consciously applying enough width with this trail arm. That's a big tendency for lots of amateur golfers, similar to Lynn, where this arm excessively bends. The problem, I would say, is when this arm starts excessively bending, you're going to excessively rotate it as well. And then all of a sudden that club face starts to look more open, causing compensations in that downswing position. So where Lynn is, I would say she has now got much more consistency in that backswing, and when she gets used to that, then she can start to get a better feeling for what to do in the downswing. But what's happened short term, she's controlling the club face, she's kept that backswing much shorter, and she's hitting the golf ball more consistently. And what she's doing is she's producing a much squarer face, bringing that flight down and gaining her more distance. I'll see you guys again really soon.